Hello, everybody.
Longest intro ever.
It's 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
That was a
The
good one.
longest
Though.
2 minutes, 40
I'll take a
seconds.
nap.
Get out of here. You can take a nap if you want. Just make sure you're ready to start talking about bourbon releases here relatively soon.
Done.
Make sure you're on your A game over here.
If you need a cheat sheet, breakingbourbon.com release calendar.
I already pulled it up.
I've heard there's a resource
Probably I'll
out
start
there.
looking.
I got it on my next browser. Over.
That's probably not a bad idea. Give me a little cheat sheet over here. You're right. Breakingbourbon.com.
So I'm like, what's even coming out? Oh yeah, Breaking Bourbon's probably got that.
Yeah, actually, I thought we were just going to read the Breaking Bourbon page. Are we actually going to give our own answers? I mean, it's kind of all out there
Kinda
already.
like a bourbon lover's nighttime story.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, well, let's go ahead and we'll get it started so we can stay on track and on cue, and I can go to bed early tonight. Who knows? We'll see what happens. There we go. 3, 2, 1. Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Bourbon Pursuit, the official podcast of bourbon. I'm Kenny Coleman.
Ryan Cecil here.
And it's just going to be us two. No Fred tonight as he's he's at wrestling practice right now with his son in Evansville, Indiana. So way to go, Oscar. Keep on doing your thing over there. But, it's fine. We don't need him when we start talking about our favorite releases of the year because he kind of hogs all that, at the end of the year with his top 100 anyway. So I think this is a time that the Roundtable gets to shine.
It's our one shining moment without Fred.
we get a few of them, but, he always brings a lot of validity into it as well too. So this is going to be a fun episode as we start kind of talking about different releases, and it's going to lead into some things potentially about secondary markets and whatnot. But before we do that, let's go ahead and introduce our guys here at the Roundtable as well. So we'll start with the person on my far right, Jordan.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. This is Jordan from Breaking Bourbon, and this is one of our favorite topics to talk about.
I would hope so. You only have your entire website dedicated to it. So. Honestly, I don't know why I'm hosting tonight. I should probably just let you do it. And Brian.
Hey, Brian was sipping corn, Bourbon Justice. Looking forward to this too, and that's exactly where I went just to get an idea for what's coming out. Breaking kind of has cornered the market on this, so great job to those guys. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, at this point, I think we've realized that they've figured out how fast can a press release come out, and they can be the first ones to post it. They've got to have something automated on the back end for it.
It's like a hedge fund.
It's
just like a half second faster.
Just a few milliseconds. It's all you need to get that trade in.
That's right.
And Blake.
Yeah, Blake from Sealbox. Always fun to be here, and ready to talk about some bourbon releases. We have a second topic too, right? We're not just doing that.
Yeah, we'll be talking
about
how
far we get.
We know what your answers are going to be. It's like whatever's on Sealbox.
Well, I just appreciate
stealing my spotlight, Blake.
I appreciate you doing this in a great timing for me to use your platform to promote the Sealbox 17 year that's releasing in a couple weeks. So if we can make sure this drops on Thursday this week, that would be amazing.
Smart idea. Just in time. It's actually going to happen on Thursday this week. Wouldn't you know? After
Perfect.
122 of them, we know exactly the cadence that we're putting out there. We'll talk about some bourbon release news and maybe some things if you're looking for the next kind of jersey you want to start sporting around. We got new Pursuit baseball jerseys we're going to be dropping at
That's
KBF
good gear right there.
too. So so if you're looking for you run to your Maker's Mark booth, you run to your Heaven Hell booth, and you can run to the Pursuit booth, and we're going to have some stuff. We'll talk about that probably on Friday this week at This Week in Bourbon. But I want to go ahead and wear this on the Roundtable so everybody can start getting jealous and start saving up those credit card points.
That's right. It's antimicrobial, sweat free. For chasing around those bottles at Bourbon Fest.
That's exactly what it is. If you're a middle-aged man ready to start running for bourbon at Kentucky Bourbon Festival, well, I've got the shirt for you.
That's right.
All right, let's kind of dive into this a little bit, and let's take this in kind of any direction we want. If there's something that has been on your mind that you think, hey, this is really going to talk about. What have we thought has been either pretty good releases so far for 2026, maybe some stuff we're looking forward to. But I guess before we do that, let's kind of get a temperature. Where do you all feel so far that we've been in releases of 2026 and how that's already stacked up to, say, like in 2025 at this time?
Yeah, I think 2020, I was thinking about this earlier today based on the topic, but Nick, Eric, and I talk about this often. 2026 has been a great year for bourbon. There have been some absolutely fantastic releases, more so than usual, I'd say. And no, they haven't come down in price. They've probably gone up in price, but there's been some absolutely fantastic releases in all categories, right? Rye, bourbon, American single malts. There's been some great American light whiskey. I think it's one of the strongest years we've seen in a while. Even with sales declining, the stuff on the market that's out there is just fantastic. And it's just been a really good year, right? It's one of those years where we look back and we're like, wow, there's a lot of really high ratings on the site. And we're a really harsh critic, and like every single one of those bottles deserves them. And I expect some bangers to keep coming out for the rest of 2026 and into 2027.
We're not even 3/4 of the way through the year yet.
Whew.
Yeah, I agree with. Oh, go ahead, Jordan. I mean, Blake.
I feel like it's been one of those years where it's like Jordan said, there are so many good releases. It's hard to even narrow it down. Where it's like usually in a lot of years, especially a long time ago, it's like, oh, here's the 3 to 4 best releases of the year, and I don't even know how you would do that this year. Like, there's just been so much new stuff, different stuff, big producers, small producers. It's kind of been across the board, which maybe that's a tell of the industry, but that they realize things are changing. They need to get out in front of people a little more with new releases. So, yeah, it's been a big one.
Ryan, what are you about to say? You're going to chime in there.
No, I agree with both Jordan and Blake. I mean, it reminds you of that time in like the 2010 to 2015 where there were just amazing things available on the shelf all time. You didn't have to worry about hunting or, camping out. It's just like you could go to your shelf and there's something there. And I think this year is just proven now things aren't as affordable as they quite were, but they're getting better. You're seeing pricing come down. I was down in Georgia where a lot of the big brands are slashing prices. That stuff's been on the shelf. They're cutting prices by 10, 15 bucks a SKU. And so, I mean, it's an absolute killer time for consumers. I mean, I don't know how you choose where to spend your dollars because there's just so many. Everybody's stepping their game up. Whiskey's getting older. Just everything, we're seeing all these bottles, and I'm like, none of these suck. So it's like, that's the hard part is like, you can't go wrong spending your money. Where do you decide to spend your money? I think that's the more challenging part.
This is one of those years where FOMO is really going to grip a lot of folks. And instead of thinking about the bottles you're missing out on, I think the mindset needs to be, I'm not going to go buy bottles. I'm just going to start spending a lot of money at my local bourbon bar and just try a bunch of stuff. Like try as many things as you can. You don't need to own a bottle of it. Just get a glass here or there and try as much as you can. Except for, of course, Pursuit Spirits, and buy all you want.
Buy every bottle.
But it's a great time. It's a great year to just start going to your, whether it's a store that pours samples, you can buy pours, whether it's a whiskey bar or a bourbon bar or anything like that. Like just try a bunch of stuff this year. It's just really good things. If you don't get a bottle, that's okay. You can at least say you tried it.
It sounds to me like FOMO's dead. I mean, I think someone predicted that last year. I mean, but it's also what we predicted about what's happening here. I mean, this is what we thought would happen. It's happening. There's better whiskey that the brands are putting into the bottles. They know they have to compete because everybody's got older whiskey and it's not going all the normal directions. So, and then the only thing I've seen on the price, I've seen some go down, I suppose, the SKUs that exist. But like with Heaven Hill's new bottled and bond, it's 2 years older than their regular Heaven Hill bottled and bond, and it's with what is it, like $49.99 again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy. Finally getting a 9-year-old bottled and bond whiskey older than the 7-year, and it's still $50. So I just echo it. It's a great time to be buying bourbon.
I'll concur all around. Well, let's go ahead. Let's wrap this up. That was fantastic.
Someone needs to disagree.
I mean, there's also there's been bad releases too, right? But the number of good ones are just outnumbering them this year. And I think consumers have a great opportunity to just focus on a ton of good ones versus thinking about what are the bad ones. And I do think at least I'll talk just our perspective from Breaking Bourbon. our best of list conversations that we have over weeks to narrow it down are usually slugfest to begin with. And I think this year's just going to be brutal as we try and narrow it down to just the top 5 for every category, which is a good thing, right? And we'll be revisiting a ton of these over and over again. But what a great position to be in as a bourbon lover.
I feel like you could have a top 5 for every distillery.
Oh my God,
because
yeah.
they've released so many. And that's one thing that's concerning is like, is it going to create so much product, so much confusion because there's a lot of marketing and stories, and they're like, well, what the hell's this versus that one and this and that, and and you're kind of your head spinning, and then it's like then too do they all lose focus on like the core items and stuff, and so it's fascinating time because everybody's just trying to adapt, and I think NDPs have had like an amazing last 2 years. Just with their creativity, and then you're seeing that translate into the big distilleries starting to follow suit, with Four Roses, and they're already coming out with Mizunara, then Honey, and there's other things coming down the line. It's a really wild but exciting time to be a consumer.
Here's a question. With so much good and really good whiskey coming out and out there, are we missing the great releases? Like, I know most probably agreed that last year's antique collection fell a little short in a few spots. Some of those ones that I typically go to and love, like Four Roses Small Batch Limited Edition. Now, granted, they're not out for 2026 yet, but we'll say calendar year. Even the Parker's Heritage, I haven't loved the last couple of years. Like, are we missing some of those great releases? Or if we tasted them now from 6, 8, 10 years ago against today's product, they would still stack up, but just because there's so much good product out there, we think of them as really good releases instead of like, wow, this is a great bottle. Well, paradox of choice. Do we have so many choices now? We're less happy with whatever choice we made.
I think you might have something to it. I think it's also like the fact that bourbon has changed a little bit, because as much as we'd like to think that, what was we were drinking back then was, bourbon flavored bourbon. I'm just going through and just like looking at breaking bourbon, and it's just like even Booker's bourbon was called the milkshake batch, right? And it's like when you start looking at this, there's a lot of wood. There's a lot of things that people are doing to secondary oak finishes, whether it's toasted, whether it's double oak, and whether it's for a very short amount of time. And you don't have to call it double oak. Like, it can still be that bourbon, but it has been double oaked. And so I think there's a lot more, I don't want to say like it's manipulation, but in a good way. And so it's really just kind of taken our flavor palette on a roller coaster ride, right? It's not just the same whiskey that sat in the barrel for 10 to 15 years that we're like accustomed to seeing. And instead you're seeing it with, all these different cooperages and all these different char levels and all these different things that had just kind of been experimentations for years are finally finding its way out to market and making its way into product, and now making its way into mainstays or LTOs for these companies. So I think that's the only reason why, is we're just starting to see a lot of the innovation that people had talked about years ago finally coming to fruition.
I think it's funny, think back 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago, when honey finished whiskeys were like the new thing, right? Like, people are scoffing. Can you believe they're using honey barrels and like finishing their whiskey? And now it's
present company included.
It's like thinking like like Nelson Greenbrier when they
two of the four people on this,
right. And like, so that was like a big deal, and and nowadays if people don't scoff, it's like, how much faster and further can we push innovation, right? And there's the long plays that Kenny might have alluded to, where it does take several years to go through and use new barrel type stuff like that. Then there's the short plays where you can use different barrel finishes and just finish for a few months and really bring things to market quicker, and use new exotic. And like, it's a race to see who can use the craziest or least used barrel type for finishing. And it's super cool. People are just, pushing their innovation, and it's great. It's great for everyone. Now, if you still love traditional bourbon, there's a ton of that out there. But if you love trying something new, and I think the majority of us on this roundtable, and probably the number of listeners out there, they drink so much whiskey and bourbon that something new is always fun to try. And like, you're almost always chasing that.
So there's definitely a lot of stuff. I mean, Ryan and I, we kicked away 16 samples today of stuff. We're like, nah, European chestnut, we're not doing that one, or mulberry, or I think there was another one,
black
locust wood. Yeah, we're like, that's gonna be a hard sell just to call it
I was like,
locust
the
wood.
flavor's
Yeah,
really
you don't
good,
want
but
that on
what's
the-
the first thing you think about when it's a locust? But it's right. You know, the whiskey geek used to be about this pure, you know, high age, rare bourbons, and now those are just a dime a dozen, and it's like they're just curious, and like that they're all into this innovation, and that's no doubt where the consumer has been. And you know, I mistakenly was like, no, they'll get over it, they'll really, but no, that's what the consumer wants, and so these producers are figuring that out, and that's what they're going to continue to give them till they say otherwise.
Well, let's kick it off. You know, I'll run with one that I've tried this year that I don't think we've released our whiskey quickie on it yet, but I remember I tried with this. Ryan, actually, we did this at I think it was not a whiskey quickie. We did this one for This Week in Bourbon. I tried it. If anybody has not tried the Blade and Bow 12-year Solera yet, I was amazed with how good it was. You know, I think a lot of us, there's never been anything wrong with Blade and Bow for years. It's always been there. It's always been solid. And I think it just kind of goes back to, you know, it's a little bit of a Blanton's-esque kind of quality with people that try to go and collect all the keys and stuff like that. But, you know, when I tried this and I was like, you're telling me this is $65? Shit, I think I'm in trouble when it comes down to this. It just had a lot of the characteristics that I kind of remember what like maybe like Old Weller 12 used to be like. And it was just like, wow, I was kind of blown away by it.
Right there with you, Kenny. And I don't like personally, I think the standard Blade and Bow is about as average can be. And this like knocked my socks off. Fantastic release, especially for the price. And it's going to be readily available, which is even more crazy.
Yeah, I saw it down. I was down in Georgia, not to keep bringing it back up, but I saw it hitting its shelves, and I'm like, do people know how good this is? It's, you know, just stacked on the shelf. Nobody's, you know, grabbing it. And I'm like, this was like, I don't know if it's the best thing I've had this year, but at that price point, it's the best thing I've had this year.
Which I do like that Jordan said it knocked his socks off. I pulled up his review, still 4 stars.
4 out of 5 barrels.
He's a tough grader.
But I mean,
He
4 out of
is.
5 that's an excellent rated whiskey in my book. I mean, our grading system only goes up to 5, which is a perfect bourbon. So 4 out of 5 is, let me tell you, by percentage wise, out of the thousands of whiskeys I reviewed, there's not that many 4s that I give out.
1% of 1%. Yeah.
A little more than that, but not much more.
So they don't move a whole lot of this of just regular Blade and Bow, do they? Does anyone know the numbers on that?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
I don't
not
get
sure.
the sense it's a lot. I mean, that it's amazing that they've put something together kind of out of nothing, because they've floundered on so many different brands, and then now to nail it on this is kind of impressive. There's hope for them.
I feel like when you go to Costco's, though, no matter where you are, Kentucky or otherwise, and they sell alcohol, Blade and Bow is almost always like a bottle you can find there. So I feel like they're probably moving in enough volume if like that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're doing okay. It's Diageo. They're fine.
I think, I mean, the other thing to keep note of too, though, right? So the 12-year is finished. Like they used finished barrels in the blend. So they use 4 different finishing barrels in that, which they don't really like make readily apparent unless you really read the label. So that
I
also
didn't read the label. Never mind. It's off the list. I'm just
So
kidding.
that
But then, see, that
tremendously
goes back
helps.
to what I was saying, though, right? It's like the wood and the flavors and everything have kind of changed, and it's like so amplified from where it used to be.
But see, that's the other thing. You guys didn't realize it was finished until right now, right? And you still loved it. So who cares if it's finished or not? It's just good
Right.
bourbon. Like it's just good
feel like-
bourbon.
I feel like I'm having a conversation. My dad was like, you know, it's like in my day, you know, like weed was weed, but now it's like it's laced with everything, right? All these things, like you can't. So I feel like that's the conversation we're having right now. Is like the bourbon is just it's more oomph to it.
I mean, so that
Yeah, I
being
feel
said, like to play devil's advocate, that doesn't always work out either, right? Like I personally, the Jefferson's 21 year that was finished, I did not like at all, especially for the price point. I thought that was an ill representation of what a 21-year-old whiskey should be for $500. So it can go both ways.
Oh, I didn't know the Jefferson's 20 was finished.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got a good Rolodex in your mind there.
Yeah.
They're all finished.
Everything's finished now. He might as well, right? 20
You
Old
get a
Darkins
finish.
finished.
You get a finish.
Yeah, might as
I
well.
feel like, is that what we're going to see be the kind of new era of American whiskey style? I mean, if you look in the wine world, like a California cab compared to a Bordeaux, even at like lower entry bottles prices, like the cab is so much heavier and bigger and sweeter and all these things. Like, is that the direction we kind of see this going? Where, I mean, bourbon and Scotch, or bourbon and Irish whiskey, there always been different categories, but it does feel like that amplifying of flavor is kind of the new thing, whether it's double oaking or whatever else into blends. I could see that, and it almost not taking the beer route where craft beer was like, okay, let's get the heaviest IBU in a IPA that we can find. And eventually you're like, okay, I just don't want to drink something that blows my palate out after one sip, where people still drink California Reds and really like them and enjoy them. And then they try something from Italy or France or wherever else, and it's like, hold on, this is lower alcohol. There's no body to it, just because they've become accustomed to drinking the California wines. I kind of feels like that's where American whiskey's going right now.
Americans are bold, and they like sweetness and like 10xing everything. And that's Kenny's favorite, taking it to a level 11 or whatever that movie you love. But
Spinal Tap. Come on, we'll add that to your queue.
yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that people, I mean, consumers, we've just seen it in our, but not just our products, every product. It's like, yeah, the more intense either sweetness or unique flavor, oakier, the higher proof. But then too, like, you taste like average consumers on this stuff, and it's too intense for them. It's just like too much. And it's like, yeah, Napa Cabs, like, people still love it, but people are still drinking a lot of Mayomi, like that entry level, sweet, delicate wine. So it's interesting, yeah, that they're doing all these LTOs to appease this really small segment of the market, but there's still like this massive market that's just not interested in that. So
I'm going to try and steer this towards the topic really quick.
Yeah,
please do. Please do.
So, and it ties into what Ryan's saying. So there's three, really, I'll pick three. There's a bunch, but I'll pick three releases that I'm looking forward to coming out the rest of the year. One's finished, two aren't. So the first coming out, I think later this week, is going to be Dragon's Milk, their Origin Toasted Barrel, Dolce Vita, which is going to be their Dragon's Milk Origin and finished, toasted barrel finish, and then finished in amaretto barrels. So they, Dragon's Milk and New Holland Distilling, their distillate is just amazing, and it takes so well to toasted barrels and finishing. In the past, several of their barrels have done really well, being rated on our website. Some have been okay, but some have been really, really well. I just think the amaretto barrel is going to take really well to that bourbon. And then two are non-finished. So coming up is the Parker's Heritage 20th edition coming out soon. I'm not like, it's a 14-year-old bourbon, rye back set, stuff like that. Like, on paper, it's just going to seem okay. And like the last few releases haven't really hit for me. But in my heart, I feel like this is their 20th anniversary release. They should really like bring out a huge banger. Now, I could be wrong. I'll be very disappointed if they don't. But like, your 20th edition should be something very special. And then the other one is Garrison Brothers Cowboy Bourbon. And I think Cowboy Bourbon it's not cheap. It's over $200 a bottle. But it just reminds me of like the Texas version of George T. Stagg. It's like that big, bold bourbon. If you like Stagg, you're going to like this. Several of their releases have been really well. And it just reminds me of like a classic, like gut punch bourbon, which just usually tastes really good. 3 different ones, 1 finished, 2 not. 3 very different distilleries, different parts of the country. But those are the 3 that I'm most looking forward to in the upcoming weeks and months.
Yeah, well, Jordan stole one of mine, but I'll jump in. I had a few, and I kind of had the idea that everybody would just be going to Breaking Bourbon to look at what's coming. So I went to my other favorite release, which is Jacob over at Cumming Whiskey, just to see what kind of TTBs have been getting approved recently. So I think the Parker's is really interesting because I don't think the back set of rye actually matters. I mean, I think it's kind of a fun part of the story. But 14-year-old bourbon, like Jordan said, 20th anniversary of the Parker's collection. I hope they knock that one out of the park. This is kind of an A and B because technically the Four Roses anthology doesn't come out till next year, I don't think. But 21 year Four Roses, I think that's really exciting. And I am excited for their Mizunara. So I think it'll be really fun to be able to watch Four Roses over the next 12, 18 months of just what they're putting out. Not to say like the warehouses are wide open after the Gallo sale or anything like that. I think we'll just start seeing more stuff, start to come out of Four Roses that we're like, oh, I didn't realize they were sitting on this for 10 plus years. So I am really excited about what's coming out of there. Then there's just some kind of fun quick hitters from around everywhere. We've got New Riff releasing a 6-year-old wheated bourbon. I've always been a huge fan of New Riff, so I think that's really cool. Old Souls coming out with their own distillate, and it's 8 years old. I think that's fun. Starlight has their corn whiskey. Mellow Corn for the longest time has gotten a really big cult following, so I think that will be really cool. And I guess they're announcing single barrels as well. Forward Slash has a rye. And then the one I'm really excited for is Leaper's Fork. They have their 10-year blended whiskey made with straight bourbon, Tennessee whiskey, and rye whiskey. And finally, to round out that group, big collab coming
Wow,
soon.
don't tell us all your favorites yet, Blake. Jeez.
Big collab coming soon. Found Footage, a collaboration between your two favorite blenders, Short Barrel and Pursuit Spirits. But I'm a big fan of Sapsquatch, and I'm a big fan of Ryan's blending. I'll say it live on there. And mainly because I thought I was showing up to that blending session and I got there like 30 minutes late and they're like, yeah, we're done. But no, I think that'll be a great one. So that was the long answer, but basically encapsulates what we were saying earlier. There's just a ton of good stuff coming out. Big guys, small guys, collabs, new releases. I probably could have gone on for 30 more minutes just on labels that I went through prepping for tonight.
Yeah, that is a lot. Thank you for the shout out, by the way. We're looking forward to that one. You definitely mentioned a lot there. And one I'll kind of give a nod to. I haven't had a chance to try it yet, so you can just go to Breaking Bourbon and read their review. We've got a bottle waiting for us to do a review as a part of Whiskey Quickie. But, the Lost Lantern release this year of the 250th anniversary actually took in all 50 states and actually blended a bourbon together. Like that is a feat that I thought it was going to be pretty impossible to do. They did it, as somebody who's been in the independent bottler shoes before and knowing the headaches that you have to go through to try to convince a distillery that, hey, you should sell me your whiskey. And then I'm going to go and bottle it under my own label. And it's an easy way for them to just say no over and over and over again. But this is something that I think represented something truly unique, truly different, because there's a lot of people that latched onto the whole 250th anniversary, go America. Like, we'll put out a release too. Like, I couldn't tell you, like, Ryan and I read maybe close to 40 press releases this year of doing something like that. But this is truly one, I think, that sets itself apart as something truly unique with it. So I really hope it kind of reaches this pinnacle that I'm putting it on right now.
It's fantastic. Not only that, but it's going to be, they had their 250th 1776 edition, but their 50 state blend, that's going to be an annual release. Going to change a little bit each year, but like, how cool is that? So I think I would love to hear your thoughts after you guys taste it.
Probably 4 barrels. That's probably what we'll rate it.
There you go. I mean, innovation alone, it's like it's whatever goes above 5 on a rating scale, which is nothing, but like one of the most innovative blends I've seen so far. And like just their process, how they did it too, was super fascinating.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited that because I can't wrap my head around trying to, because with 50 different states, 50 different distillates, and different styles of production, you got a lot of pot still whiskey, maybe some column still, all the hybrid stills. You got different coopers, different climates. That is an unbelievable feat. So hats off to them. excited to try that one. I am too excited about the Parkers. I'm a sucker for Parkers just because I grew up around, Bardstown, and huge Heaven Hill fan. It hasn't lived up to what I want it to be, but 14 years, by God, that's like the perfect age for Heaven Hill distillate. It should be a no fail. Like, that should be a home run. So, super stoked for that. A lot of the ones you already mentioned. We got to try from Old Commonwealth, and I think it was Hoffman, maybe, where they're trying to recreate, like adding oxygen into barrels, leaving bungs off, and they're trying to create like older vintage style whiskey. I remember trying that. Zach brought us. I really want to try it after it's been bottled. I know it's been sold out and people are excited about it. I really want to try that one. But the one I'm really excited about is the Tanager. Tanager is one that I think the first two releases were just awesome. Shows what Still Austin's doing. There's no secret. It's it's probably the favorite distillery of mine that's not traditional. And I feel like with the age on it and the bottle and everything, it's a fantastic release. So that's pretty much what I'm excited about. those three, sorry. And of course, we got a ton going on and some killer releases, but I'm not going to say that because that would be self-serving.
We'll get them anyways.
That's right.
So going last means everyone took mine except one, and it's maybe the one that I'm hopeful for the most because when the weather starts getting, it's not there yet. Today was a nice day in Kentucky, but I'm in for stout season. And I remember, I think it was a 2024 release, maybe. The Goose Island did an Angel's Envy aged Imperial Stout that I thought was, a lot of those have been just absolute failures in my eyes. But I remember the Angel's Envy one was just fan-freaking-tastic. And now the September release for Angel's Envy takes those barrels back that they gave to Goose Island, and they finished their whiskey in those stout barrels, and then for like a month in Amberana. So it's about as small as Amberana as you could ever get on it, but I'm really excited for this stout finish. I've had a couple of stout finishes that have mostly been good, but there's something about the Angel's Envy that I just have this flavor profile in my head is going to go really well with that stout. So looking forward to that one and a lot of the ones you guys have mentioned. I think it's gonna be a great season.
Did you say a month in Amberana?
It's really,
it's actually a month is actually a really long time in Amberana.
Okay.
A month's
I'm trying
really
to think. So I'll go ahead and I had a chance to try this already with Owen last week. So yes, it actually when I saw this on paper, to kind of steal the words out of Jordan's mouth here, I was like, stout finishes, hate them. Amberana, hate it. Well, this is going to suck. It was actually kind of funny. Owen was giving his presentation. He's like, I did this for you and Ryan. And I was like, oh, great. Thanks, man. But when we started tasting it, it actually is probably the best stout finish whiskey that I've ever had. He did a fantastic job. We did start talking about the slew of Amberana barrels that he inherited when he came into Angel's Envy and what he was doing with them. But from what I understand, there was very, very, very minimal Amberana that was actually added to this. But it is if I'm not mistaken, it's a rye finished in stout with it. But I don't know. I can't remember. There was one that we tasted with rye. One was a bourbon. That's kind of getting messed up in my head right now. But overall,
I think the release is a bourbon.
Okay. You'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
Yeah. It was actually really, really good.
And then with all of Four Roses experimentation we've been seeing, I've heard there's a Four Roses PSL, so I'm excited for that.
Why not?
I'm not gonna lie, I've been trying to figure out a way to do that for like 2 years now, just because. And I'm gonna wear UGG boots and
everybody will buy it. Do it.
Wear leggings and one of those hats with the rim around it and a scarf. Each bottle comes with a scarf.
I can see
just
you
like you would do a honey
pants.
barrel, Blake. Like go to Starbucks, buy a ton of PSL, dump it in the barrel, let it sit for 2 days, and throw in some whiskey. What's the worst that can
Yeah,
happen?
what is the rules on that with coffee? And I'm sure you could get away with it.
I mean,
It's
I
called
don't know.
innovation, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Just get a shot. Come
Just
on,
put it
Blake.
on the label. It's fine.
Speaking of innovation, let's talk about one last one that kind of shook some waves around here. You know, because Bardstown Bourbon Company has been coming out with a lot of stuff. I really enjoy some of their new labels where they have artists actually kind of create the designs in it. But you know, they have the where they actually put some dump some fruit in the barrels, right? They had their actual pineapples that were cut up and put in there. You know, I kind of have this tugging, you know, feeling about like, is this innovation? Is this taking it too far? Is this going to open up the floodgates for everybody going, well, all right, I'm gonna start putting watermelon in these barrels now, or like whatever it's gotta be, right? I think this is, I'm not gonna say it's an adverse effect, but it is certainly going to start making other companies start looking at, well, I guess if we can do it in pineapple, well, I guess we can do it. We have kiwi and strawberry. We can do anything, right? I
PSO.
don't see an end to where this could possibly go.
It's funny you say that because I'm looking at this bottle of Chattanooga came out with their experimental collection this year, and it was strawberry infused gin. And they used, I don't know, hundreds of pounds of dried strawberries, but like gin, completely acceptable, right? You're like, oh, okay, dried for cool. Like, yeah, that's gin does that. With Bardstown using dried pineapple at the very end and those pineapple rum barrels to begin with, you're like, all right, never saw this before. Like, it gives you a weird, uneasy feeling. It tastes, have you guys had this?
Oh,
like,
it's so good.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, right, you're either going to love it though or hate it. It's like pineapple on pizza. People either love it or they are disgusted by it. I mean, it's the closest thing that you'd almost get, I'd say, to a cocktail in a bottle that's not really a cocktail. Like, you could literally just add ice and like pour in a cup and you got a pineapple bourbon summer cocktail. It's wild. But it does give you like, you know, I'm looking at this bottle of gin. I'm like, yep, that's totally normal for gin to do. Like, thinking of bourbon and whiskey doing it, you're like, oh boy, that's like not a good feeling. Who knows? I don't know why. It's just like a new period of innovation for alcohol, but like, it just does that for me.
And you got Booker's with the, you know, the apple, whatever, cinnamon apple finish too. You know, I wanted to hate the Bardstown one. I actually really enjoyed it. I mean, because I thought I had that same expectation. I was like, this is going to be like a Penelope RTD old fashioned, but it wasn't. It wasn't like this overly sweet. I mean, it was sweet. Don't get me wrong, but not like sugary fake viscosity. It just, I don't know. It worked. It was pretty cool. But does it? Yeah, I don't know. Where does it lead us to as far as innovation?
That's always my worry with finishes. Is I like to say a lot of finishes are flavored whiskey for people who are afraid to admit they like flavored whiskey. We're starting to really be on the edge of that border right now, and I mean, we do it all the time, you know, but we have no standards here. So at Sealbox, no, just kidding. It is a funny evolution of some of those things, but I like how they did it. I mean, it wasn't like it was some massive 50,000 case drop. It was like, hey, this was something fun with a small lot. If you're into it, great. If you're not into it, great. And you know, Dan Calloway's not going to put out something that's just terrible either. So I think it's fun. I like seeing it, and if nothing else, it gets people fired up who feel like it has no place in bourbon.
But I mean, I think the category is going to have to do. You look at Gen Z and the younger, you know, and the like, all these crazy flavored energy drinks and all the, you know, things they're consuming are just these really like just wild flavors. And I just don't. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know that standard bourbon's just going to get them there. Like, you're going to have stuff like this to get them into the category. Then they may appreciate bourbon, but I don't know. That's Gen Z likes their flavors.
It's so weird coming from the guy that cracks open a Celsius every single morning to get his day going.
I know. That's I'm a millennial, so
yeah, there you go. Wild cherry to start the day, right?
I agree with you, Ryan, but just like a little pushback too. Gen Z likes their flavors, but that's a 106 proof bourbon. I don't think a lot of Gen Zers are going to be like, hey, give me the 106 proof bourbon. They're going to be like, What's that flavored Evan Williams over there that's like 30 proof or something, like, you know what I'm saying?
No,
60
totally.
proof or
And the
whatever,
price
right?
point makes it,
Yeah, I mean, this was
unapproachable
like,
for most consumers.
yeah, this was aimed truly at like a bourbon drinker, which that's okay. There's a lot of people, you don't need to, you can still like your pineapple flavored whiskey and admit it. That's fine. But,
Well, I think
but I don't think that's
they're
Gen
trying
Z.
they're trying to prepare us for all the RTDs that are still coming down the pike, because they got to get rid of all the damn whiskey that that is not good enough to put in these LTOs. So it's actually us that they're trying to convert.
Well, they got one of us here. Ryan's on board with it.
I'm on board. I'm here for it.
Well, that also kind of helps us spin it into. I think we probably want to revisit this at the end of the year too, because this is a kind of a good push as we start getting into Q4 and a lot of the release season that's going to be happening. But as we start thinking about what does the next wave or evolution of what unicorns are, or what does the secondary market, or what are people actually going to be chasing? Is it going to be a whiskey that held pineapples for X amount of time? Or is it going to be something that, we're never going to see something like this hit crazy dollars? Or is it just, hey, we haven't given the time to be able to see this yet? And the reason I say that is because not too long ago, Van Winkle actually sold at auction for the highest it's ever been. I think it was like $162,000 or $165,000 for a single bottle. Yet the rest of the market has kind of been slow to move. Obviously, there's people that pay attention probably a lot more closer to online auction forums and stuff like that to kind of see things. But these are the ones that make the headlines, and so you kind of see this middle market kind of wavering, teetering back and forth. Obviously, the prices have gone down a little bit over the past couple of years too. But I'd love to hear your all's thoughts on this. Are we going to start seeing the kind of, I don't know what you call it, like the de-unicornification of the current whiskey market? Because coming out with a 20-year-old bourbon, it's really not that hard anymore, right? That used to be something that was saved for, it was pretty unique. It was pretty rare, because back then the shelves were just your basic stuff. And then you had, your handful of Willets, you had your very collectible Van Winkles, you had your Four Roses Mirages or Marriages, however you wanted to call them way back in the day. You didn't have the Breaking Bourbon calendar of today, where it's like, you got to scroll for 15 minutes until you get down to August. So is it just because we're going to be seeing more and more releases? Is that going to diminish what unicorns could be, or is there something else?
I think you're always, I'm just going to jump in and go first. Sorry. I think you're always going to see unicorns, right? There's always going to be people who are deep into any given area, in our case, bourbon and whiskey, that have their unicorns out there that they talk about often. I think what's going to be a little bit different going into this next phase in the next 10, 20 years, we'll say 10 years, is the general public knowing the unicorns, right? When Pappy Van Winkle came out, like, even if you didn't drink bourbon, like, people kind of know what Pappy is, right? And then people really like Blanton's and Buffalo Trace. Like, even people who don't really drink bourbon, like, they're like, oh yeah, I heard like Buffalo Trace is good, or like Blanton's is good. I think with the influx of bourbon coming to the market, like, that goes away from the mass, for the mass public, right? Like, all of a sudden you can start finding Buffalo Trace, it seems like, everywhere, and Blanton's everywhere and everything else. And people are like, oh, I can get it. Must not be that special. It's not a unicorn, right? And you haven't seen anything hit, like, taken the consumer world by storm in the bourbon space like Pappy has. And that was so many years ago, right? I think we're always going to see unicorns for like us and like everyone listening to this and watching this, like, really deep in bourbon. Like, there's always going to be a unicorn barrel or like a very, very limited release that people are chasing after that continues to hold their attention. But I think like the general public unicorn, like, that period's probably going to go away for a little bit. Anyways, that's my thoughts.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
Well, I'll let you go. You just don't take what I'm going to say.
I'm reading your thoughts right now. And no, I think it's an interesting time in the whole secondary auctions, all that in general. Just, prices are deflated on that side. So, like, what are we even calling a unicorn these days? Even looking at like unicorn auctions, and I mean, there's like Jefferson's 18 year for $600-800 now. There's time for the auction to finalize and everything. but that's a crazy steal compared to what that was even 3 years ago. Um, and really like the modern day unicorn, not a ton of stuff. Some old Commonwealth stuff will go on there. Obviously, Rare Character gets some stuff on there with the Brook Hills and others. Old Cassidy, but it just doesn't. It feels like a flattening out of bourbon. Like we don't have the low lows anymore, but then we don't have that crazy peak of like Pappy 23 is going to be $5,000 per bottle, or Sazerac's going to release Eagle Rare 30 and it's going to be on the auctions and secondary for $50,000 or whatever the crazy prices are. So it does feel like things are flattening out. Like the lower end is getting a whole lot better and somewhat more reasonably priced, whether that's Barton putting out good stuff, Heaven Hill, whoever it is. And at the same time, there's just not this massive spike in a product of like, you've got to spend crazy amounts to get this bottle anymore. It just feels like that whole unicorn idea is kind of going away a little bit.
I think
I agree with that, and I'm really, really happy that I'm never going to hear anyone else call Elmer T. Lee a unicorn anymore. I think we're done with that, and that's the best thing.
Like a birth year bottle or whatever they did.
Right.
I don't,
Right, yeah. So for individuals, maybe they'll have that bottle that they're looking for, but we don't have to call any of those things unicorn now. And what I'm wondering is, you're going to have whatever the special deal is with this 20-year Pappy. I don't even know what the specs, what made it so special. But what I'm wondering is, are we going to run into just where the vintage things are really, really high price? Those are still going to keep going up. And by vintage, I mean even all the way up to the 90s when you've got your Red Hooks and things like that. Those are still really strong priced, and those are going for a lot of money. So that's kind of where I'm seeing it is you're either vintage or you're these 90s, early 2000s type things. That's where the money's going to stay. You can go to a store now and find Blanton's Gold. You don't need to pay 3x for it on some Facebook group. You just don't. That's where I'm wondering if we go.
I think we're back at the old Strong Water Showcase days, right? I mean, that was the group that really hooked me in, and that's when I started finding about Dusty's and really unicorn-ish type of vintage whiskeys and stuff, and really that's kind of what set us off in this path a little bit too.
Yeah, I think time will prove that there will be some releases now that will be unicorns, because when we were going through this, I never in my million years would think Pappy would be, a $5,000 bottle, or antique collection, or the Willets. It's just when they, after say 10 years, or you're like, oh, they're not making this stuff anymore like they used to, then people have a nostalgia. They have like, oh, well, this was made 20 years ago. I think there's just going to be some outliers that I don't know what they are, but maybe it's Blade and Bow 12, but that's there's
Wild
always
Turkey Diamond.
I was thinking
still a chance. Yeah,
you never know.
But I mean, you have a bottle like Cheesy Gold Foil. While for me it didn't land because Cheesy Gold Foil is like the original is so much better, and I thought I get it, the bottle and the packaging, it just didn't line up to what I was used to Cheesy Gold Foil. But I never thought Cheesy Gold Foil would be unicorn. But I think this new one, I mean, you give it 10 years down the road, and they're like, well, this was the first release of Cheesy Gold Foil, Resurrection, and people were like, and there's only a lot of people drank them, and there's only 500 to 1,000 of them left out in the market. Then that'll shoot up the price, and that's how I envision it. You let a decade pass, people like scarcity and nostalgia, and they kind of forget how average things were back then, even though the bottles you are talking about are absolutely incredible bottles. But I think we'll look back and be like, these were actually really good releases.
Yeah, I agree. It's just
when we're releasing apple pineapple and all this, we'll be like, I miss the good old days when they had
blueberry craze. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like right now, it's access, right? Like you have access to stuff that it's hard to call it a unicorn, because if you pay enough money, or you know the right person, like you get a chance to try it at a relatively easy, accessible point. Versus, you're right, Ryan, if you wait 5 to 10 more years, that accessibility is going to be diminished quite a lot, because who knows, the market's going to change a lot. People might just start drinking these things that didn't realize that, like, oh, this ain't gonna be worth anything anymore, right? So I might as well drink it. And so who knows, we might see that come flip back around, and we'll be like, God, you remember those early 20-aughts of Bardstown Bourbon Company 4-year? Oh, that was good stuff, right? So who knows? Well,
Before
guys,
we close out, does somebody want to do a quick Fred impression to give his thoughts on this subject?
Vodka sucks.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah, as I say, I was like, we're not going to do them. I'm not going to do him a disservice. I don't think I can do a good Fred impression unless he's like, Fred Minnick here. You know, he does his voice. That's about all I got.
You could do the foghorn leghorn thing.
Yeah, go for it.
You could. No, what? No, I said you could do the foghorn.
No. I'm here for you, man. That's you take the microphone. Well, guys, I do want to say thank you so much. This is another great show, and I'm glad somebody just said at the very end, we'll have mayo finished bourbon here before we know it. So we'll start bringing out the condiments and seeing what's going to be the next new innovation that we're going to see here in the bourbon world. But this was fun because obviously we've had a lot of time talking about what is going to be happening, what's new inside of the bourbon world, what's going to be coming, and then what do we think is going to be the future 5 to 10 years from now. But this is a topic that we can revisit a couple times every single year, and I don't think it'll ever get boring. But let's go ahead and let's start closing it out. And Jordan, we'll start with you.
Sure. Jordan from Breaking Bourbon. I encourage everyone to revisit this topic daily. Go to breakingbourbon.com, pull up the release calendar, and see what's been added.
Yes, Brian.
See, Ryan, you could have done a plug for Pursuit. But yeah, I agree. I will actually echo that. Go see Breaking before you go see Sipping Corn or Bourbon Justice. Had a fun time. I didn't even realize we had hit the hour. So that's a good sign. Thanks, guys.
It sure is. One last thing, as somebody put in here, forgot RD1 also has an upcoming whiskey using a pickle barrel. I love me some pickles. I'm kind of mad they beat me to it, because I actually had a pickle beer for my first time when I was traveling in Nevada, and I was like, this isn't too bad. I can do one, maybe two of these, but beyond that, it's a lot of brine. And Blake.
Yeah, Blake from Sealbox. Always fun. This was a fun episode, and I kind of like what Kenny was closing out on, of like, what are we drinking now that in 10 years people are going to be like, oh, remember that bottle was so good. And I think there's going to be a lot of that. So yeah, go support your local retailer, go pick up some of these bottles we've chatted about. And yeah, thanks for having me.
For sure. Well, this is a fun one, guys. Make sure you follow all these gentlemen on all their outlets. You know, that's the best way to stay up to date. Up to date on all the bourbon release news by going over to breakingbourbon.com. Buy those bottles over at Sealbox, and then you can also figure out who's getting sued over at Sippin' Corn. But if you want to make sure that you are also in tune with everything happening in the Bourbon Pursuit world, you can sign up for our newsletter. You'll get 3 of them a week, and it tells you exactly what episodes are dropping. But you don't have to do that. You just go subscribe and follow on all your favorite channels. And yeah, come and support us as well. Come and see us over at downtown on Pursuit Spirits on Whiskey Road, Trial and Error, and all the other good places as well. But more importantly, we will see you at Kentucky Bourbon Festival here relatively soon with these new Pursuit jerseys that I'm wearing too. But with that, cheers, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
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 Rocket
sucks.
Rocket sucks.
There, that's what we needed.
On
Kenny,
We
three,
should
ready?
just
1, 2,
record
3.
that and be able
Rocket
to
sucks.
hit a button and play it.
Kenny,
Yeah.
if you like pickles, Pittsburgh for like, I don't know, now almost 10 years, we host Picklesburg, which is turned into a top 10 food festival in the US. Like hundreds of thousands of people come to this thing. It's the most intense pickles. Nonstop
Wow,
pickles.
man.
It's
Gosh,
insane.
that
They shut down the
sounds
bridges.
awesome.
Like you can be up on the bridges. It's insane.
I love it.
Jordan's nickname in high school was Picklesburg. Was that thing?
Picklesburg. Picklesburg.
We'll put
We
it on the back
actually
of your
have-
jersey.
Yeah, that's what it says. Yeah, we actually have a kind of an experiment running right now. So there's a, what do you call them? Like a picklery? I don't know what you call them around here. Pickle producer.
Brand?
And A what now?
Is it a brinery?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it
Is it
brine
called
pickles?
a brinery? I don't know.
I
It's
don't know.
probably,
Maybe I just made that up. I don't know.
I don't know. It's a few guys in a warehouse with a shit ton of pickles. That's all I can tell you. But we've got some brine aging in bourbon barrels right now, and so we're going to start making some Pursuit branded pickles before you know it.
Cool.
So that's going to happen. Hopefully by the end of this year. We're just trying to do some formulation.
And then we'll take
right
those
now.
barrels and finish whiskey.
Yeah, I know. I tell you what, man.
That
Cool.
sounds
Might
Can we
so
do like
gross.
a small episode of just like who's got the weirdest thing aging in the warehouse right now? I feel like that would be
Yeah.
pretty fun.
Like a man on
Although
the street interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did get one fun one from this brewery in Jacksonville. They had a cherry brandy that they then put stout into for like 2 years. The bourbon's only been in there like a month, but I swear it tastes like a cherry Tootsie Pop. And
Ooh.
like,
Ooh, that
just
that
bottle
sounds
it up
delicious.
now. I'll drink all of this. And I feel like that should be a challenge. We just get people, it's like, all right, craziest
Nice.
idea wins. Submit your entries, and we'll make it happen in real life.
Nice. I hate to be that guy who ends like the gab session a little early, but I still got a 3-month-old at home, and
Oh, yeah.
I think Barb's about to kill me.
Oh, yeah, let's do it. Well, thank you everybody for joining us live. We will see you here in about a month. And yeah, there's your sign off. Cheers.
Cheers.